Every day, millions of businesses move through roads they do not own. Millions of customers enter through gateways they did not build. Millions of transactions pass through systems most people never think about. And every time value moves, someone is standing in the middle, not producing the product, not delivering the service, not necessarily creating the customer, just controlling the path. For centuries, the most powerful economic position was ownership. Own the land, own the factory, own the ship, own the bank, own the resource. But the digital economy introduced something different, a new kind of power. Access. The company that controls access does not need to own everything moving through its system. It only needs to become difficult to avoid. And once the world begins to depend on the road becomes more valuable than the vehicles using it. This is the economics of the digital toll booth. And the most important question is not who is selling the product. The question is, who controls the road?
When people look at a successful digital company, they usually look at the product, the application, the website, the marketplace, the software, the interface. But the product is often only the visible layer. The real business may be somewhere else. A company can have a beautiful application, but without distribution, it has no audience. A company can have millions of users, but without payments, it cannot monetize them. A company can build powerful software, but without compute, the software cannot run. A company can create an online business, but without infrastructure, the business cannot scale. This creates a hidden hierarchy. At the top, the customer sees the product. Beneath the product, there is the platform. Beneath the platform, there is the infrastructure. And beneath the infrastructure, there are the physical systems that make everything possible. The further down you go, the fewer companies remain. And the fewer companies remain, the more strategically important each one becomes. This is why the visible product can be misleading. The product may be competing for attention. The infrastructure may be collecting value, and the access point may be controlling the entire relationship. A gateway is powerful for one simple reason. Everything must pass through it. In the physical world, a port can become a gateway. A canal can become a gateway. A railway can become a gateway. A financial exchange can become a gateway. In the digital world, the same logic applies. An app store can become a gateway. A search engine can become a gateway. A cloud platform can become a gateway. A payment processor can become a gateway. A marketplace can become a gateway. An operating system can become a gateway. And once a gateway becomes essential, the economics change. The company no longer needs to produce everything. It does not need to own every seller. It does not need to manufacture every product. It does not need to employ every worker. It simply needs to control access. The gateway becomes the business, and every participant becomes part of the system. The customer, the developer, the merchant, the advertiser, the software company, the enterprise. Everyone may be independent, but everyone still passes through the same door. The first toll is usually obvious. A percentage, a subscription, a transaction fee, a commission, a licensing cost, a recurring charge. But the visible fee is only the beginning, because the real value of a gateway is not always the money it collects directly. It is the economic activity it can influence. A platform can change the rules. A marketplace can change the ranking. A payment network can change the cost of transactions. A software provider can change the terms of access. A cloud platform can change the cost of compute. The toll is not always a single payment. Sometimes, the toll is dependence. The more activity moves through the system, the more valuable the system becomes. And the more valuable the system becomes, the harder it becomes for participants to leave. This creates a feedback loop. More users create more activity. More activity creates more value. More value attracts more users. More users create more dependence. And dependence strengthens the gateway. This is how a simple access point can become an economic empire.
The most powerful gateways rarely grow alone. They grow through networks. A network becomes more valuable when more people use it. A marketplace becomes more useful when more buyers and sellers join. A payment system becomes more valuable when more businesses accept it. A communication platform becomes more useful when more people are connected. A software ecosystem becomes more powerful when more developers build on it. This is the network effect. But the network effect creates something deeper than growth. It creates gravity. Once enough activity exists inside the system, new participants are naturally pulled toward it. Not necessarily because it is perfect, but because everyone else is already there. This is one of the most powerful forces in the digital economy. The system becomes difficult to avoid. A competitor may build a better product, but the better product still needs distribution. A new marketplace may offer better prices, but it still needs buyers and sellers. A new platform may offer better technology, but it still needs a network. The challenge is no longer simply building a better product. The challenge is building a better system, and systems are much harder to displace than products.
The strongest toll booths are not protected by walls. They are protected by switching costs. Switching costs are the price of leaving. Sometimes, the price is financial. Sometimes, the price is technical. Sometimes, the price is operational. And sometimes, the price is uncertainty. A business may want to leave a platform, but its data is already inside. Its employees are trained on the system. Its customers are familiar with the interface. Its processes are built around the infrastructure. Its integrations depend on the platform. Its revenue flows through the system. Leaving may be possible, but possible is not the same as easy. And when leaving becomes difficult, the relationship changes. The customer is no longer simply choosing to stay. The system is becoming embedded. This is where access becomes power. The strongest system is not always the one with the highest fee. It may be the one that becomes the most difficult to replace, because when the cost of leaving rises, the value of access rises with it.
This is the paradox of modern platforms. They do not need to own you. They only need to become important to you. A merchant can remain an independent company, but depend on a marketplace for customers. A developer can remain an independent creator, but depend on an operating system for distribution. A business can remain independent, but depend on cloud infrastructure to operate. A company can own its brand, but depend on another system to reach its audience. This is a new form of economic power. Ownership is visible. Dependence is not. A company can appear independent, while its most important relationships are controlled somewhere else. This is why modern power can be difficult to measure. Look at the company. You may see a small business. Look at the architecture. You may see a system with millions of dependencies. And when enough businesses depend on the same gateway, the gateway becomes more powerful than any individual business using it.
The most interesting part of a digital economy is often not where revenue is created. It is where revenue accumulates. Thousands of businesses may compete at the surface. They may sell different products, serve different customers, operate in different markets. But beneath them, they may share the same infrastructure, the same cloud, the same payment rails, the same software, the same distribution channel, the same marketplace. This creates a vertical structure. Competition happens at the top. Value can accumulate beneath it. The businesses compete for customers. The infrastructure collects from the activity. The sellers compete for attention. The platform controls distribution. The developers create applications. The operating system controls the environment. The economy appears fragmented, but the architecture beneath it can be highly concentrated. This is one of the central ideas of Nexera. A fragmented market can still depend on a concentrated system, and when that happens, the visible competition can hide the invisible concentration of power.
One of the most powerful forms of access is the developer ecosystem, because developers do not simply use a system, they build on top of it. Every application built on a platform increases the importance of the platform. Every integration increases dependence. Every tool connected to the infrastructure makes the infrastructure more valuable. This is how ecosystems expand. The system provides the foundation. Other businesses create the visible products. The foundation becomes larger, the ecosystem becomes deeper, and the cost of leaving becomes higher. This is why software infrastructure has become so important. A developer may begin with a simple tool, a simple API, a simple cloud service, a simple framework. But as the business grows, the system becomes embedded into the architecture of the company. The code depends on it, the data depends on it, the workflows depend on it, the customers depend on it. The business is still independent, but the system beneath the business is no longer optional. And this is where access becomes infrastructure. The platform is no longer just a service. It becomes part of the company itself.
The next generation of digital toll booths may not look like platforms. They may look like code. An API is an access point. It allows one system to communicate with another, one application to use another service, one business to access another infrastructure, one machine to interact with another machine. The interface may be invisible, but the economic relationship is real. Every time a business depends on an external system, a new layer of infrastructure is created, and every time that infrastructure becomes essential, the access point becomes valuable. This is why APIs are becoming economic roads. They connect systems, they move data, they enable transactions, they provide intelligence, they allow businesses to build faster. But the business that controls the API controls the access, and the more applications built around it, the more important the interface becomes. The future of software may not be dominated only by applications. It may be dominated by the infrastructure connecting them, and the company controlling the connection may control more than the company controlling the product. The logic of the digital toll booth is now moving into artificial intelligence. AI systems require infrastructure, compute, data, models, interfaces, distribution, and access. The future may contain millions of AI applications, but beneath them, there may be far fewer foundational systems. The applications will compete. The intelligence infrastructure may collect. This is a familiar pattern. A new layer of innovation forms above. a smaller number of infrastructure providers operate beneath it, and the system becomes more valuable as more businesses depend on it. The question is not simply who builds the best AI application. The deeper question is who controls the intelligence layer, who controls the compute, who controls the model access, who controls the data, who controls the distribution, who controls the interface between intelligence and the rest of the economy. Because when intelligence becomes infrastructure, access to intelligence becomes an economic bottleneck, and every bottleneck creates the possibility of a toll booth.
Now the pattern becomes visible. The modern economy is not one road, it is a stack of roads. The user enters through one gateway. The business operates on another. The payment moves through another. The data is stored somewhere else. The application runs on infrastructure. The infrastructure depends on hardware. The hardware depends on energy. And increasingly, intelligence sits above all of it. Each layer can become a toll booth. Each layer can capture value. Each layer can create dependence. And the most powerful companies may not be the companies controlling one layer. They may be the companies controlling several. This is why modern competition is becoming architectural. Companies are not simply competing to sell products. They are competing to control layers, to own standards, to build ecosystems, to become defaults, to become infrastructure, to become unavoidable. The goal is not always to win the transaction. The goal is to become the system through which the transaction must occur.
This changes the meaning of ownership. In the old economy, ownership meant possessing the asset. In the new economy, power can come from controlling the relationship. You may not own the business, but you control its distribution. You may not own the product, but you control the marketplace. You may not own the application, but you control the infrastructure. You may not own the transaction, but you control the payment layer. You may not own the intelligence, but you control access to it. The asset is no longer always the thing. Sometimes the asset is the position between the user and the system, the position between supply and demand, the position between the application and the infrastructure, the position between the business and the customer, the position through which value must pass. And when that position becomes essential, it becomes a source of wealth, not because it owns everything, but because everything depends on it.
The world is filled with businesses, but beneath the businesses, there are systems. The systems create roads. The roads create access. The access creates dependence, and dependence creates power. The most valuable company in a market may not be the company selling the most products. It may be the company controlling the road connecting the customer, the road carrying the payment, the road delivering the data, the road providing the compute, the road distributing the software, the road connecting intelligence to the economy. Once you understand this, the digital economy becomes easier to read. Look past the product, find the gateway. Look past the revenue, find the dependency. Look past the competition, find the infrastructure. And when you find the road, ask the most important question: who owns the road? Because the future may not belong to the company that builds the best vehicle. It may belong to the system that every vehicle must use. This is Nexera, decoding systems, architecting wealth.